Yo, welcome back. This is part two of my episode with Jenn Nicholas of Pixel Parlor. Dumb, naked, and broke. Let's get into it.
Wow, I did remember. It's crazy how memory works. I was like, I had a print portfolio for sure.
No, I don't think you did. Because I was like, and then I was like, damn, this guy's cool because he actually like had, after I think I was like, this is an awkward conversation. Please don't ever show up without your stuff again. But then you emailed me. First off, it's a testament to your quality of work and but also more so who you are. Because then you like called me a couple years later and you're like, hey, remember me? And I was like, I sure do.
Yes, that was very funny because like even when I met you, there was no process of me working with Pixel Parlor. It was just
You're just
I needed
exploring.
the exposure.
Yeah.
And I remember I had worked with Cloud Geshen. They're a top caliber, and my brain was I was like, okay, 100%. We're gonna be at 100 all the time, and that wasn't the case. So when I came back to Philly, I was trying to get exposed to a lot more studios, and Cloud Geshen wanted me to come in, and I was like, I want to, because I had started finding a liking towards type and want to explore that. So I was like, I need to be in a studio that do more like graphic design stuff that I'm common with, and so I started reaching out to a bunch of studios, and the responses were we're too busy or no response at all, which is very crazy to me because that one really kind of made me mad. It made me feel kind of unimportant. And then some people would say, come in like, a couple of weeks from now, and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to be in school. Or because back then I was playing soccer. I had to be in
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
college probably like a month or so earlier than everyone. So it was like all these things. But Pixel Parlor, when I reached out, was just like I looked at the work and I was like, wow, the work is good and high caliber people. And obviously, I need to, whatever it's happening, I just need to be in the mix. And so that was the thing. But outside of that, I was like, as far as I needed to know, like, what it took to work at Pixel Parlor. Not necessarily particularly at Pixel Parlor, but like caliber
Yeah.
of a design studio. And so for me, when I went back to college, I was like, I kind of, it was, the meeting for me was awesome, but I as a person felt bad on my end, not your end as far as what you said. I felt bad on my end because I was like, I thought I was prepped. And I got there, I was like, oh, again, similar thing we're talking about with, pushing it to that next level. So when I went back to college, I started working on my resume, junior year, getting the portfolio together. By the end of the junior year, I had my resume, portfolio was print, digital. I had interactive PDF as well. So it was like all this stuff that I had already just from, probably our conversation was 30 to an hour as far as time, but a lot of things that were, smaller things I ended up exploring into bigger things and learning more. And at the end of the junior year, I had all my professional stuff done. I had a website and all
Yeah.
that. So it was senior year, I was just hanging out. But, it was also stuff to do, but I credit that to you because I feel like, again, my personal thing has been being in an environment where like I know who I am and I know what I have to offer, but it's not like I'm in every environment and I'm like, oh, I'm good at what I do in this setting. It's so much of how can I complement what people are already doing so that collectively, everyone is better off. So that's what I try to like find when I'm at a new spot. But
A lot of it's about good chemistry.
yeah, but
Like,
as far as the overall experience, that did a lot for me professionally in terms of. And then even in terms of just like stepping out there,
Yeah.
that also was a push as well.
You put yourself out there a lot.
Yeah, you have to.
You have
Like,
to. You have to take that. You have to be kind of fearless. And even though you're terrified, you're just like, I'm going to, and you just do it.
Yeah, and I think like actually before we met, I probably like walking behind you for like a block, and then we got to the front door, and I was like, "You going in?" He was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "I'm meeting someone named Jen," and he was like, "Oh, I'm Jen," and we walked upstairs. But it was funny because I got off the train and I was like, and I saw you was probably like at the end of the block, and I was like, maybe not.
Because that's where my house
is. Yeah,
is.
it was like turning, and I'm like, similar turns, but
And it was totally me because I was
Yeah.
walking from the house to the studio. But I mean, like, really having the resilience is really important. Like,
Yeah.
going through something that was, like, awkward and just saying, hey, oops,
Yeah.
sorry about that. I'm going to do better this time. And then actually, like, living up to it, it makes a big difference. It really does make a big difference. And I saw that in you. Because, like, not most people would have been like.
Yeah, even when I reached out the second time, I was like, because I wasn't even thinking about you particularly. I went on the website, and I don't know if I filled out the application or probably was like looking through the team, and I was like, oh, I do know Jen, so probably that was when I reached out. But it was more of just reaching out to you, not even thinking you would remember me in that sense, but just like, new and improved.
Yes, new and improved, definitely. I mean, that's what you gotta. I mean, most college students are completely oblivious. They don't know.
No.
And it's also shame on the school for not telling you how to show up, right? That's part of
Yeah.
their responsibility too, to prime you and help coach you through what the general expectations are. And I mean, Manny, you were like one of like 30 people who showed up to have an interview and like didn't have anything, and I was just like, go. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So
But yeah, that was also something I was thinking about, was the traffic of people that would be showing up to the studios. So I felt fortunate to have that sit down, because it's always like when you set out to do something, you got to be grateful that it happens, regardless of if the outcome was what you expected. So the whole thing I appreciated, and like I said, a lot of growth came out of it for me. And even reflecting on it now, interesting. When you edit this, make sure the record show that I did bring a print portfolio. I didn't. That's a good story.
I remember it. I was like, oh, this is real awkward.
I'm sweating just thinking about it now. Ooh. I would have kicked whoever out too.
Yeah,
So.
I think you were like the straw that broke the camel's back with me. But
Wow.
then you came back, and then you got a job, and you were great, and it worked out fine. Like, and now we're friends, so it's all good.
Persistence
Yes.
pays off. When are you most productive, morning or nights?
Mornings. I have started a ritual where I wake up at about 5:15. I go to work out to do Pilates from 6 until 7. And then like I have like 4 hours before I even show up to the studio.
Wow.
So I get a lot of stuff done. It helps that I have 2 kids that really occupy a lot of my time, but I'm most productive in the morning. I never ever thought I would be that person to say that, but kids definitely will flip your internal clock.
Wow. So like, as far as waking up at time, what do you wake up normally? 5:30?
I wake up
late?
I wake up at 5. Like if under normal circumstances, I would sleep until 11. But
the work day circumstance.
the work day, I'm waking up at 5:15 in the morning.
Wow.
So, and like I just have to go to work out for an hour, like come back, meditate for like 15 minutes, and then like make some tea, get ready for the day. And it's my undistracted time. Because I'm very distracted here. I'm surprised my phone's not like vibrating off of a table somewhere.
I think you took it out the room.
I had to leave the room. The phone has to leave the room. I think I have 47,000 unread messages on my phone. So I just like
Is that text messages?
It's unread emails.
Oh, okay, good.
But it's not text. Oh my God, I would just buy a new phone, I think, at that point and change my phone number.
Oh, wow.
But it's like I'm constantly distracted all day. So like that, for mental health and just general wellness, like having those few hours in the morning where nobody's asking me for something or complaining, because children complain a lot, or just generally uninterrupted time is really important. I think as a creative person, it's really important. As a human being who I have my fingers in a lot of things, having any amount of time without interruption is just allows me to keep it together. Because I think like if every waking hour of your day is like phone calls, text messages, email, Slack, Basecamp,
media.
social media, like all this stuff all the time, you like start to get a little shaky. It's like, where do you even go first? Like,
Right.
and then how do you even think, right? When you're that overstimulated, I really like, can we just pick one form of communication and stick with one form of communication? Because having email, text, Slack, Basecamp, several Basecamp accounts, like all this stuff together I don't know where to look and I don't know what to focus on.
Right.
So as a result of being overly connected, I've had to find time to completely disconnect, or I'll just not be productive.
So what time you would say normally the work day ends?
What's it? 5:00, 5:30 for us.
Okay.
So 5:15 in the morning.
You shut it down?
I have to. Well, I have to. I have to pick up children, and
Right.
You can't. I have
Like
to,
I'm saying, like you disconnect. Like
I totally
really
disconnect. I have to because of the kids. Andrew, my partner, he'll let it trickle in like until 1 or 2 in the morning. I don't do that. I used to do that. I was working 120-hour weeks for a really long time, and I know that it really tore me down. And that just like when I start having more work than I can accomplish, that just like tells me that there's another job position that's opening that I need to hire for and fill. So yeah, I try to work 40-hour weeks. I'm not normal. I'm not normal.
That's a good thing. I don't think anyone's normal. People just kind of fake normalcy.
But I just I can't. I mean, I'm still booked from 5 a.m. until 10:30 p.m. solid every single day.
Yeah.
Between like taking care of myself, taking care of the business, and then taking care of my
Right.
family. So yeah, but only work from 9 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. And I
Healthy.
try to take a lunch every day. But it's the opposite of what I used to do. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
Like in New York City, like all the design studios expect you to work 60, 70, 80, 100 or more hours. And literally, like people die. Like I was seeing people have heart attacks. I was seeing people go to the emergency room for exhaustion. Designers. Like literally, one of my jobs, a designer died because he had a heart attack. Oh my gosh. He had a heart attack from overworking. Another guy, he just died. He was like the model builder at one of the architecture firms I worked for. And as far as I can recall, he died on a model in the office working on a model because he was in a completely dark room,
Right.
working 120-hour weeks for I don't know 30 years or something, and he just died. So I don't want to go that way. Life is too interesting.
Very. If you've created your own lane, that is obviously you have. So yeah, it's very interesting. I feel like once you do that, it's not much externally. You feel like you have to be reaching for. But my co-host, who isn't here, Andre, he said something a few episodes back. But he says, if you're a boss, you can't take a day off.
That's not true. You can do whatever you want, although it's not that easy.
Which is, I guess, was his point as far as, even though you were speaking to like detachment or, having a hard stop when it's time, I feel like subconsciously you still.
I'm always thinking about it, always.
Always thinking about the first thing that needs to be done and,
Well, I'm on so I don't actually get on phone calls or do any work. First off, we've built an amazing team and our studio is awesome. And I can walk away now and not check my emails on vacation, which is great. That said, when I'm on vacation, standing on the beach, I'm holding my White Claw or whatever it is I'm holding. And I'm like, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm in a design studio. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm always doing that kind of thing, but I'm not actually sitting at my computer checking emails. I've definitely designed this studio in a way that allows me to walk away and have mental downtime. But it's always I take it with me, right? It's all just part of me, so I kind of take it all with me at all times.
So speaking of the studio, Pixel Parlor, what services do Pixel Parlor provide?
So there's a lot. I mean, for a small studio, we have a lot to offer. So identity, branding, print collateral, digital marketing, social media design, in experiential design. We are really leaning into our experiential design. We just hired this new lovely human being, Jackie.
Can you speak more about that? What is that?
Experiential design?
Yep.
It's EGD that's more interesting.
Okay.
Environmental graphic design. So it's more like, it's branded spaces, but Jackie, she used to do, she's a version of me. She used to work at some of the big architecture and interior design studios doing experiential design. So branded workplaces, retail experiences, restaurant experiences, like redesigning all those and branding components. And then there's a signage and wayfinding component to it, but it's just like this branded experience. So like we worked on the Fairmont Park Conservancy project together with her.
Right.
And which was at the flower show, and it's just like, it's a pavilion. We designed a pavilion for folks who were coming in at the flower show to sit down and enjoy a branded experience for the Fairmont Park Conservancy. So, it's something that you can inhabit, like it's a space. It's like on a human scale, not on like a handheld scale. It's like, it's a room. So she's designing rooms and campuses and other things like that.
Yeah, I feel like with people you bring on, you're very like particular about who you bring on, which is also kind of shows like a leadership quality, which is being good at like delegating and things, so that you inherently will have to like we're speaking on time, we have to be like hands-on with everything. But I feel like you were someone who is good at bringing people in who are like good at what they do. So in terms everything out.
I was not always good at that.
I've
I've gotten really good.
How did that come about? What were some of the things you had to let go of or add on to?
I really had to stop hiring. For a long time, I would just fall in love with people's portfolio. I was like, oh my God, your work is so good. And I would be so like starstruck by like how beautiful their work was that I would overlook the fact that they maybe had some prohibitive personality traits, some personality traits that would make it hard to collaborate with. And I did that so many times that I had to stop it. So now, like there are some people who I like bring in I bring in for interviews that are incredibly talented, but if I get any kind of sense that they might be antagonistic or maybe a little bit snarky, I can't do it, right? We have a very strict no asshole rule, and I'm doubling down on it because I can't I'm just like, if your coworkers are assholes to you, please tell me, because we cannot. It's like a zero tolerance. It's a no asshole rule. I can't do it. It's miserable. We're too small, and it impacts every aspect of your life if you're working with somebody who's an ass.
Absolutely. And when I was here, that was something I appreciated because we talked about it a little bit in the interview where he was like, the people in here are kind of like-minded like you. So when I finally was in here with everyone, it was nice because it was easier to not just communicate but work as well, because we kind of talked about a little bit about it, but that ego wasn't there. So the chemistry in terms of me working with other people, till I'm like, okay, I work a lot better with this person. That was needed. So I feel like in terms of you were saying you don't really do other work, but as far as the glue type work, that is needed because it's what keeps the overall machine going or running smoothly. I should say.
I just want to work with nice people.
It's not so much to ask. It's not so much to ask at all.
It's not much to ask, but it's not always easy to find, and it's really hard to determine in like a 30-minute or 45-minute interview.
I mean, I love working with you, and I hope we get a chance to collaborate again soon. Because again, like I said, I love working with you because that room for creativity and like that playfulness is always there, which I feel like is a core thing in design. Should be incorporated into the functionality as well. But going back to Pixel Parlor, I want to talk about the WBE.
Oh yeah, CEO, female CEO / WBE.
Yes, I did. I read up on that, and if you're listener, WBE is Women's Business Enterprise Certification. Pixel Parlor is currently, are you still ongoing, or is that?
No, it's official, and we are the only design studio that is both WBE certified and B-Corp certified in the entire state of Pennsylvania.
Hell yeah. Wow.
So yeah, so we
Wow.
like, I mean,
I mean, looking at the journey, and we were talking about, the early stages of the journey, and then you know what you wanted to do since you were about age 11, and having this vision and people who cannot relate to you or, see your perspective or understand the vision, kind of casting their fears on you as a kid. And I feel like, because I remember, like, back then, a lot of things were like huge. Even like people seems like, huge, and then you grow up and you're like, it's not so bad. But back then, words just mean so much, because it's like that's all you have as a young person, and so whatever someone says, it really kind of sticks. But fast forward to now, to Pixel Parlor being B-Corp, WBE certified, and the only design studio in Pennsylvania. That's unbelievable.
and my parents really are proud of me now. They went from not talking to me because I enrolled into design school to being pretty damn proud.
Really?
Oh yeah, they were so mad at me for getting into design school. They're like, "We're not paying for you," and I was like, "That's cool. Money comes with strings." So I paid my way through school, and they're like, "We don't know what you're doing. We don't understand it." But now, like, I get it. Like, I really like, this is that strong sense of self and that strong sense of like vision of what I want to do with the studio and what I think we're capable of, and also responding to the horribleness that's going on in the world right now, and trying to make sure that I'm able to like navigate that in a way that feels authentic to me, also feels like we're being productive and a positive influence, and trying to take the industry to a better place. Like working hard and seeing if trying to do these things actually is, people, planet, profit, right? If we can do people, planet, profit, we're in good shape. But like, people are afraid that it's just like profit. Yeah. It's not like it's killing the environment. It's killing people's psyche. It's crushing the economy. It's crushing the morale of the country, of the global economy. Like, it's not working. Profit is not, it's so destructive. It's killing us. It's killing us. So like, if we look at it through the lens of people, planet, profit, then we're going to be so much more mutually beneficial. And if I am able to pull that off and like run a successful business, cool.
Yeah.
Like, how satisfying would that be to like magically pull that off just by being super stubborn?
Yeah, I feel like it's also very satisfying as far as, like the stuff that you set out to. For me, is not only satisfying to like the end result, but also kind of inspiring the whole story to set out to do something and then get it done. Obviously there's time, but you got it done because that was what you set out to do initially. And a lot of people don't really have that. I feel like a lot of people don't have the very first part, is that passion. So for you to express how you feel and have them relate, or, be able to provide any sort of helpful feedback, it's kind of hard. And over the years, I kind of learned that, because it was like ideas, and you're chatting with friends or whoever, and they don't really add much. So over the years, I was like, okay, I got to learn who I could really talk about certain things with. Like I have friends who are like friends, personal friends. I have friends who are like personal but business friends. And so we talk about our personal life and business, and they're able to offer a lot more than just, head nod or, sure, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
that's what you need, as far as if I were to say, oh, Jen, I have an idea to start a podcast, Dumb, Naked, and Broke. And you're like, oh, sure, that'd be great. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And then we move on. That's not like a healthy, conversation or healthy engagement.
Right, exactly.
So it's always like difficult. I feel like I try to put myself in other people's shoes and say, okay, if you don't understand my, perspective, there's a reason why you don't. So I need to understand why you don't. So maybe that could help you understand what I'm doing, or just, you know, cut you off completely because, you know, it's my vision and I have to protect it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I appreciate that because there's similarities regardless of genders is, you know, is writing down a goal and going after it.
Yep.
And you were saying, even with the cussing stuff, that was crazy.
Which you don't do.
Because that would be like the last thing I would say to anyone that, you know, use profanity based on gender, or like, you know, profanity.
Oh my God.
So it's like anyone could cuss. If you want to say something, you say don't use it.
Yep.
That's the most appropriate. But even with that, it's not so much of. I was reflecting on some stuff, and I feel like people, when they come into your life with whether you have an idea or things you want to do, I feel like people are a reflection of nature and the universe in terms of you asking and the universe testing the things you're going after. So when like I encounter people and we have a conversation, I'm always thinking about that. It's not so much what they're saying or who they are. I'm thinking about, like you were saying, when you went to college and the parents was like, okay, it's on you. That was you, and then it was whatever else the universe was going to assist you with. So that's kind of how I look at it. Whereas, you know, I've engaged with someone and they're kind of swaying. I'm like, okay, personally, where is my center at? And,
Right.
you know, why is it that I engage with this person when I could have engaged with, you know, a million other people today? And so I try to check myself first. And I feel a lot of people don't have that self-awareness in any terms.
Life is a big experiment.
It really is, and there's no answers out here. You trial and error.
But you have to keep pushing yourself, right? You have to keep pushing yourself. You have to see, like, if you can do this stuff, because everybody's just going to tell you no, because they don't have the courage to do it. And you just have to be slightly crazy enough and just do it.
Yeah.
Just put yourself out there. See what happens. What's the worst you can do? And thoroughly embarrass yourself? Okay, embarrassment only lasts a short amount of time.
I always tell myself the worst I could do is end up dead.
It's true.
That always like, okay.
Yes.
Everything else is like.
It's true.
Yeah.
Are you going to end up dead from like not showing up at my studio without a portfolio? No. You might be slightly embarrassed, but then that just like that kind of stuff just goes away.
Yeah, exactly.
Like as long as you can just like find a way to get over that like fear of embarrassment or fear of judgment or whatever. I mean, if you can do that, you can pretty much do anything.
Yeah, pretty much. Because again, it starts with self. Self-awareness is the key to a lot of things. Because you would know how to adjust moving forward or whatever you're doing. But what's the best part of your current job, being a CEO? And
being with these people and making really great things with these people and making friendships with people like you, like folks like you who I know I'm going to collaborate with for forever. I think like just really seeing everything grow and just like turn into like this fully formed thing, right? It was just like, you know, it was just me and my partner, like, you know, freelancing together.
Right.
And then it's grown into this thing and it keeps growing, right? Year after year, it keeps getting better. And even last year was not great by any stretch of the imagination, but like to come out of it and like know that I've got a really great team and I have really great collaborators and great collaborative partners and a gaggle of friends and people rooting for us, like that feels good. It feels really good. So I think that's the best part. And like, and then I can be my own ridiculous self on these phone calls and people like it. People respond to it. I see people smiling on calls. I spent a lot of time on my phone calls seeing if people smile, like seeing if people are smiling on those.
That's awesome.
The Zoom calls. God, I don't even want to know how long we can talk if we have beers. We'll close the damn place down. I'll be sideways.
Dumb, Naked, and Broke. Welcome back. So Jen, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Do you still go by your alias, A Modern Ghost?
Oh, you really dug up all this stuff. No, I don't. Actually, some indie band bought that URL from me a while ago. That was me. Like when was A Modern Ghost? I actually still like it. For a while, I was like self-conscious about it. It was, you know, probably when I moved to New York and I had to figure out, I was in like a series of bad jobs where my paychecks were bouncing. And I was like, I think I need to have a persona or a personality or be someone and really like work on who I was to be able to get the job that I wanted. But no, I'm not. I mean, maybe I am.
Do you feel like a modern ghost?
Oh, you have no idea. I always do. I always do. I'm like, you know, heavily influenced by all the goth kids I hung out with in high school, all the punks and like goth and punk and like indie rockers and all those folks. Like, and like I grew up and my mom thought our house was haunted with poltergeists. So there's so many ghost stories. I have all the ghost stories and like creepy, weird stuff. So I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was awesome. I clicked on the website and it was the band like you said, and I was like, whoa, Jenn has been holding out on us.
I'm not in the band. The band bought it from me. That's so funny. I actually should look that up. I haven't like seen the band.
Yeah, it was well put together. So I was like, oh, I guess I don't know something.
I'm not in the band, although I would love to have been.
It's always fun. I don't have musical abilities. That's like, it's not in my body at all. My mom tried to get me to play the piano. I was like 12. I was like, I think it's too late. What's your favorite color?
Oh my gosh, it's teal. It's probably everywhere.
Interesting.
It's like, I mean, is it that color? Yeah. I mean, it's teal. It's like turquoise or teal. Yeah. I just like a very Caribbean blue. Like that is like, I mean, it's that color and it's the color in the other room. It's like the very Caribbean blue.
Did that influence Pixar Parlor branding at all?
Yeah, of course it did. I mean, it's like on its ways and it's really muted right now, but it has always been like some turquoise Caribbean blue kind of color. It brings me a lot of happiness. Like, there's nothing more delicious than like jumping into like a big ocean of like Caribbean blue water. Like, it's like so satisfying to me.
So clear as well. But actually, funny enough, my favorite color is blue, but I like every like version of blues, which for me it just provided a lot of like sanity.
Yeah.
As a kid, it provided me with just existing. That was the only time I could just exist.
It's a meditative color.
Yeah, I would describe it as such. Yes. What's your favorite typeface? And why?
Ooh. Okay, this is really hard because I love a lot of them. And I mean, okay, this is like the most generic answer ever, but Gotham, as far as sans serif typefaces are concerned, is a really good one. It's very geometric and architectural. It is bulletproof. You can use it in anything. It always looks good.
Okay.
As far as display typefaces, I'll have to get back to you on that one. That changes. I like there's some really great type foundries out there right now doing really fun stuff, and I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Because Gotham is not fun.
Yeah, Gotham and Helvetica are like two fonts I feel like are typefaces. I feel like you could, plug into a situation and people might not say much about it.
I'm not a Helvetica fan, though.
No. I watched a Helvetica movie.
I used to work for Gary.
Really?
Yes.
I watched the movie.
That's why my paychecks bounced in New York. Is because he went to Europe to film Helvetica, and our health insurance went away. Our paychecks started bouncing. But yes, I have beef with Helvetica.
Wow, that's
also,
crazy.
I don't find it inspiring.
Yeah, I watched the movie as a kid, and I loved when I was a kid, it was like in school, we had to watch it and then rewatch it later. But I loved the whole process of the designing typeface. And it was one of the reasons I was like, yeah, that's not for me. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, it's very interesting because there's so much detail and like personality and characteristics that they try to capture in a letter form, which is cool because as designers, when you are being selective, it kind of shows.
Yeah.
If you're working with a project, it kind of shows. But I have a little bit tougher question for you.
Okay.
I was going to save it, but I'll ask it now. Never hear music again or lose your ability to read?
That is, oh my God. Oh God, that is the most impossible question. I love both so equally. It would be devastating. I think. Okay, this is an impossible question. I guess I would have to say, never listen to music again, or never ever be able to hear music again. Although it would break my heart, and I would probably be like really miserable for the rest of my life. I think reading is just so essential that that is thank you for asking me an impossible question to answer. But I think I would have to go with never hearing music again, just because reading is, without reading you don't have intelligence, and without reading you can't help yourself. You're helpless. But I mean, music brings me so much mental health and happiness and fun and joy and pleasure.
Creativity sometimes.
Oh, I mean, I listen to it all day, every day at work. But I would have to say I'd have to stick with reading and lose music. Mainly, I know. Thanks for asking me impossible.
Well, reading takes you places.
Yes.
I haven't heard that about music yet, so.
Music does take you places,
it do,
too.
but it's not out there yet.
Yeah, it's not like.
The parents don't say, go and listen to that album.
Yeah.
They say, go read that book and, and travel through your head.
Well, maybe I would tell that to my kids. But
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think music is for me, I'm more of like observative. So like anything like hands-on, or if I could hear anything like visual, like I learn a lot from those than actual like sit down. But yeah, that's a tough one. A lot of people struggle with that one.
it's brutal.
I have another one.
Okay.
This is not as bad as the last one. Best design book, or any design book you recommend
Oh, let me think about this.
that you've read and would recommend.
It's not necessarily a design book, but I really like reading anything about Andy Warhol and the factory. So any kind of books about Andy Warhol, I find a lot of inspiration, mainly because he touched so many different kinds of media, and he crossed the boundary between art and design and dabbled in music and film and everything in there. I think
I didn't know about the music. I had it.
Velvet Underground. The Velvet Underground. It's like, and Velvet Underground influenced like almost every contemporary like indie musician, any indie musician. So they like they created an entire genre of music.
Wow.
But so a book in particular, I can't think of one off the top of my head. But I do think like I will read and absorb anything about Andy Warhol. And I get a lot out of it. Also, he's a wild maniac, but that's okay.
So are all artists, really. I like. I think I heard of Andy because of Jean-Michel, which
Exactly.
is like one
They
of my
had
favorites.
such a huge influence on one another.
It was so great. Someone I wish I've met is Jean-Michel for sure. College or no college for artists?
Absolutely college. It gets
Why?
your head screwed on straight. Like, if you're gonna be an artist and just do art all day, do that. But if you want to be able to make a business out of it, I think college gives you the skill set, the connections, and the framework to be able to do a better job of it, and not feel like, I just worry that people who only do art and don't go through college are just open for being taken advantage of, and don't necessarily have access to or realize that they have access to the resources that can really help pull them through and make them make a better life for themselves.
Yeah. I'll have to agree with that. With my college, towards the end, reflecting on, costs and all of that. I remember what I took from it was like the connections and the people that I met, because those relationships was kind of invaluable. So with, weighing the options, I was like, because I went through it, I'm better off.
Yep.
So.
I would never have had the confidence to be where I am right now. I would have let all those people who said all those crazy things to me, I would have let that all take me down. They'd still be in my head. But college allowed me to walk away from that and into something better.
Yeah. Imagine you no longer have to work. What will your typical day look like?
Oh my gosh. I would just if money were no object,
Nope.
I would restore an old Victorian house and put all sorts of contemporary things inside of it.
Wow.
And like also, I would just live in like my dream design home. I like old Victorian houses with like all sorts of like quirky. I like art. I just want to live with art. I want to live with like beautiful tile and beautiful fixtures and all that. And can I do it on the side of a Caribbean ocean? Or in Europe, or in like Barcelona or something. Like that's what I would do if I didn't have to work anymore.
Wow.
I would just live somewhere old and beautiful, and like put every design thing that I like am infatuated with into my life, and just like, yeah.
I feel like back then, like homes and houses had like personalities
Yes.
and characters.
Yes.
Now they're all a bunch of boxes
Yes.
put together.
It's not a good look. It's fast to build, but it's not a
Yeah,
good look.
for sure. What is a lesson you feel you learned a little too late in life?
That I am very powerful as a woman.
Wow.
That although like people tell me that I'm not powerful, like I have learned to own my power, and I really want to inhibit that power and make sure that I can help other people do it. I have always, until very recently, like have always felt like, I mean, that the disadvantage of being a woman was like, I just know that I have power now. I don't know. Like
Awesome.
Women have power, and we just need to step into it and own it and use it. And it's going to get thrown back in our faces, but I think women have something really special to offer that is underappreciated.
Yep. So does that mean you're going to be writing a superhero movie pretty soon?
No superheroes, but I might. I have a couple. I think I maybe write a book or something, maybe for kids, a children's book. Something to help my daughter like step into who she is and own herself from a younger age.
Yeah, that's much needed. I have a little sister who's 11 right now, and just like her perspective is very different because I also have like two brothers, and how we interact with one another is very different. And like one thing I notice about her is like she calls frequently, and I'm like, is it because you're a girl? I didn't know. But it's like it changed my perspective changes because like interacting with my brothers is different, and when she calls, it's like specific stuff and whatnot, but it's very thoughtful, and a lot goes into it. So like as a person, just as a dude, just seeing the world differently, a lot has come from just interaction with my sister, and also the part about checking in on people. It's not necessarily a girl thing; it's a human thing.
Yes.
So that's also another realization that came up or I guess like a friendship really.
It makes life richer. It makes your bonds better.
Absolutely, and definitely I would want her reading a book you would put out for sure, because the one time I think she's in. Definitely gonna get it wrong. Probably 6th grade, 5th grade.
That sounds like 6th or 7th.
Yeah, she's not in 7. I know that for sure. But she went to school because they were online, and then went in class. And the first day of school, like they walked in, she was with my mom, and they walked into class. And immediately she turned around and told my mom, "I can't believe I have another white teacher." And my mom didn't understand. She was talking about representation.
Yep.
And for me, that wasn't something I was thinking about when I was younger.
Yep.
So like in terms of the difference, it was so like that for me. It was a proud moment because I felt like she's already smarter than me, but like just like thinking about stuff that for her benefit in her life, and I feel like a lot of that needs protecting as people get older, because the world will try to take that away from you and try to tell you what your value is.
Your sister needs a big brother who can show her how nice people can be.
She has that.
And like she probably needs I think all girls and all kids just need someone that they can look up to, who's going to be kind to them and show them that they are worthy. Right, kids are just sort of beaten down.
Yeah, and even like yesterday, she called, And she was leaving the hospital and was like, oh, my mom was like, I don't know why your sister like got all the rocks from in front of the hospital. She was like, yeah, I'm gonna paint them. I was like, yeah, save me a couple. Let's get in on it.
That's awesome. That'll be so fun. I love finding the painted rocks.
Yeah, but like whenever she's out, she like grabs them. But like for me, it's just like observing like how personalities and things come together. But before we wrap up, I have one last question. But I want to take a moment to tell you thank you and tell you I appreciate you and your time and what you do. And also on the design scale, I think with, you know, the design, the impact of the design, sustainability, being environmentally friendly in like products and things, and even like partnership and people you collaborate with, I feel like all of those is adding up to raise the standard of the design industry because it's very low. If we're being honest, it's very low. It's very low. And just like setting us such a high value, I feel like a lot of people could take a lot from that and in terms could set their own value. So I want to appreciate you for that and for powering me through on your journey as well. And, you know, being out here and having a studio that's now B-Corp certified and also WBE certified as well. The only design studio in Pennsylvania. It's blowing my mind right now, but thank you again. So one last question. The show, Dumb, Naked, and Broke, the reason it's called Dumb, Naked, and Broke is because I feel like people are young, ignorant, and inexperienced. They're not really dumb, naked, or broke. So the last question to you is, have you had a moment in your career or just in life in general where you felt you were a young person, meaning, you know, lacking whatever you need to, and then ignorant, and ignorant meaning lacking the knowledge to the next stage, and then inexperience, obviously, not having the experience to do what you probably would have done in that moment, or, you know, wanting to say, oh, I'm gonna circle back and get the experience and then get it done. So basically, I'm asking, have you had a moment of feeling kind of young, ignorant, and inexperienced?
I'd say I felt that from the day I was 4 years old until the day I started Pixel Parlor.
Wow.
I was all of those things. I didn't know any better. I didn't know how to listen to myself. I didn't know how much worth I had. I didn't know. I just didn't know. And then I basically, like, when I left New York, I had a choice to continue in design or to go in a different direction. And Pixel Parlor gave me an opportunity to stay in design and find my direction and find my focus. But until then, I was all those things.
You think it was the transition New York to Philly or Pixel Parlor that did it for you where you?
It was both. I mean, it was both and. Philly is just so awesome for entrepreneurs, for people who are just like, I'm going to try this thing and I can still somehow pay my rent. So I think Philly is like really lovely that way. And I think a lot of the neighborhood, like the local businesses are super engaging and helpful and not like backbiting. I think like the cost of living, even though it's going up, it's just like much more approachable than like DC or New York or Boston. So it allows you to do stuff. And it allowed me to take a risk. And I think Philly allows a lot of creatives and people who are just like can't make it work. I couldn't make it work working for other people, right? I mean, there's one job I would have probably stayed at forever, but I needed to leave New York. But I think like it just gave me the environment. I think Philly, maybe I'll attribute it to Philly. Leaving New York with the tools, I went to New York not having a clue. New York, I found myself, like who I am and what I can embody, and found my power. But then moving to Philly allowed me to live that out and express it. And I would never have been able to do that in Cincinnati, Ohio, where I grew up, or in Brooklyn, New York, for different reasons in both places. And Philly was my sweet spot. And the community we have here of small mission-based businesses and you know, local economy, like the focus on local economy is really a living, breathing thing here that people are excited about. So I think Philly gave me the opportunity to take the road less traveled, and it's
Yeah.
it's almost 10 years.
Awesome. What an awesome story and inspiring, like I said before. Again, I want to thank you and acknowledge you for, just sticking to your story and powering through and inspiring me and whoever else will hear this. I'm sure they will be inspired as well and take some things away from it, and they could hopefully apply to their own journey. So thank you, and again, I want to acknowledge you for your time, and just being you is very inspiring when you could be yourself and not no one else. Dumb, Naked, and Broke, Jenn Nicholas. We out of here. Oh, I thought you did something. I thought you did something. Right now. It's been another episode of Dumb, Naked, and Broke. I'm your host, Emmanuel. Make sure to tune in next week for more fire episodes. Like, subscribe, and follow us on all platforms. Dumb, Naked, and Broke. We out of here.